Hey there, y'all. It's Valkyrie Rain, and I'm back with a theory. I have a TikTok now, so go check that out. I'll link it in the description below. Anyway, enough of that. So let's talk about my new Sandersides theory. This is heavily based on the new video, so go check that out if you don't want spoilers. Anyway, so there's this theory going around the Fanderside that there's one last dark side, the orange side, who to my knowledge is now being nicknamed 07734, after the string of numbers that introduce the idea that he properly exists in the canon. For those of you who don't know, 07734 flipped upside down and backwards is hello, and in the video the numbers were colored orange, which means that the orange side was talking to us in plain sight. The question is, who is he? Now, I know that people out there theorize stuff like greed, apathy, pride, all that whatnot. That doesn't really make sense because greed, apathy, and pride and stuff like that aren't usually inherent parts of a human being or their core personality. And deceit, intrusive thoughts, logic, morality, creativity, and anxiety are just very core, basic concepts of a human being. So that honestly doesn't make sense to throw that into a solid side. We know that Virgil is sensitive about the term paranoia, correct? Paranoia and anxiety aren't the same thing. Paranoia is only when anxiety becomes irrational and gets out of control. And it's very dangerous, honestly. But everyone believes that Virgil used to be paranoia. But since anxiety is just bare caution and it has to be there for the sake of protecting someone, paranoia can't have been Virgil. Virgil can't have been paranoia. They can't be the same thing without Thomas growing up without some serious anxiety disorder. Paranoia has to be a separate side or concept or power altogether, or at least become a completely separate side at some point. So my theory, as mentioned in one of my videos on my TikTok, is that Virgil became a light side in accepting anxiety when Thomas began to trust him. There's a bunch of evidence on that in my video on the TikTok, so go check that out. It's sometime down. So following up that idea, a side should be dark or light based on Thomas's perception of them or if he trusts them or not, which is why Janus started acting like a light side. So where am I going with this? Virgil seems to be very sensitive about this theoretical paranoia, who in this case would be a separate side, so he has to have some connection to him. My idea? In a similar process to Roman and Remus splitting, sometime after accepting anxiety, Thomas's understanding of anxiety changed, and so did Virgil's control over it, because Thomas has complete control of the mindscape, except for Remus, because that's an exception. Well, theoretically, paranoia and Virgil would have split into a more finite definition of anxiety as a whole. And I actually told my friend about this theory before the video, and she suggested a valid point that paranoia is probably Logan's dark side based on the color wheel theory, since orange is the opposite of blue. To be true, that actually makes a lot of sense, because paranoia is illogical. It makes no sense. It's the forms of phobias and overly anxious things. It makes no sense in the slightest. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. Tell me what you think in the comments. Ciao, my babies. See you next time.